Welcome to Shminance, the podcast that doesn't take finance too seriously. I'm Adam Austin, and with me is Nick Rossolillo of Concinnus Financial. Now, over the last few weeks, you've probably heard some financial reporters talk ad nauseum about things like the drop in the GDP, the increase in employment, and maybe even this last week you probably heard about a decrease in productivity here in the United States. What are all these economic indicators, as the economists call them? What is the deal with these, Nick? Are they important? Are they something we should be paying attention to? What does it matter to me?
No, don't pay attention to them. Forget about it.
Don't pay attention to them.
No, they are important, but it's just a lot of noise for your average investor. You know, it just creates a distraction unless you're an economist putting together a very complex model to show what the economy has done and what it will do. All these indicators just end up being noise.
Now, of course, when we look back historically, like back in 2007, not long after the crash began, we had people pointing to financial indicators saying, look, we should have seen this coming. I can't believe we didn't act on this. And is that something that is more Monday morning quarterback, or is the way that we could read the tea leaves and perhaps make some better decisions, maybe not for our individual finances, but maybe for financial policy here in the United States?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. These indicators are very useful, but again, you can't take any one of them on their own. You really have to put all of them together to create a picture of what the economy is doing. And if someone does that, yeah, you can get a pretty good idea of what the economy just did, what it's doing right now, and what it looks like it will do in the immediate future. But again, to focus in on any one or even just a few of these indicators, like you mentioned GDP, labor statistics, the productivity rate, to focus in on just a few of them, it's kind of like looking at a painting and trying to just zero in on one brushstroke and making up your mind on the painting based off of that one brushstroke. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So
No.
Unless you're in the business of trying to forecast these things on a very, very big scale, on a macro scale, these indicators tend to be pretty counterproductive.
Right, like paying attention to them, especially individually, can kind of put you on a roller coaster. Over the last couple of weeks, it's been up, down, up, down, up, down, and that can lead to some pretty bad decision making, can it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's something that we deal with all the time, is investors making bad decisions based off of some off mathematical equation that might just be an anomaly. It might not mean anything on its own. So again, you mentioned GDP. Well, let's get back to that. The Bureau of Economic Analysis puts together the GDP for the United States every quarter, and they release a preliminary report about a month after the quarter ends, and then a final report a little over 3 months after the quarter ends. So the most recent revision that you referenced was to the preliminary report that we got back in May, and it was higher then than when they came out with the final report.
Right.
So I mean, it just illustrates the fact that if you pay too much attention to these things, you're on this roller coaster ride of emotion, and just the same quarterly report. 3 months ago, you felt fantastic about it, and then a couple weeks ago, man, you felt terrible. So, I mean, how do you make decisions based off of something like that? As something as fickle as single economic indicators.
Right. I think the age-old adage of investing for the long term, planning long term, and focusing on that is probably the best advice one can give, especially when you're looking at those. Well, Nick, thanks for enlightening us on economic indicators and their worth or lack thereof. Hey, we appreciate you guys listening. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe and feel free to leave us a rating. Until next time, I'm Adam. That's Nick. Have a good one.